Welcome back, Action Takers. Today we are joined by Seth and Melanie Studley. They are the podcast host of Anatomy of Us. Really big podcast, millions of downloads. They have over 1,000 iTunes reviews, husband and wife, and their podcast is all about marriage, family, and sex. And they've been podcasting for several years now. They've got a great marriage counseling business with Mastermind. This episode is going to be really a lot of fun. You get two for the price of one. They're both joining the show, and we're going to be talking about co-hosting with a partner. We're talking about storytelling and how important stories are to developing and keeping and maintaining empathy with your listener group. I think empathy and storytelling is huge. So that's what we're going to be talking about in today's episode. Make sure you hit subscribe, listen up, and we're going to get into this fresh episode with Seth and Melanie Studley. Let's go. Seth, Melanie, what up?
Hey. Yo, how's it going, Mark?
Really good, really good. Thrilled to get in here and talk podcasting today. This is going to be a really fun one, I think, because I get two for the price of one. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. If you get one, you get the other. So
that's right.
That's how
and we
it goes.
do love podcasting, so you've come to the right place.
Yeah. So I guess I'll start by just asking you a question. Like, were you a little bit nervous going into a podcast with the pair of you? Was there any thoughts about some potential tension in that?
Yeah, there was, but we just we just threw that to the wind and said, hey, let's go. Like, because we have a marriage podcast, right? Mm-hmm. And we talk about real help for real couples. I'm a marriage and family therapist, and we went through some stuff, and we're just like, hey, let's just talk about it and be as real as possible and share our story. And we can't go wrong with that. And it's been a trip,
right.
But
I think I threw caution to the wind because I knew it was so needed. Like, I know that sounds silly, but we just couldn't find anything out there that served the purpose that we needed. And so I'm like, I know this will be hard, but I don't even care.
I mean, were you a little bit nervous about putting yourself out there? I mean, you're talking about some pretty touchy topics.
Yeah. Yes, we were at times, but I think just where I was in my life, I'm like, well, okay, what's better? Like keeping up a facade or just being truly real and authentic and vulnerable. And I chose the latter, and that's really made a lot of difference. And you did too.
And it was a little bit like, what is there to lose? Like, what our relatives will be like, that's awkward. You know, I mean, that's all that's all there is to lose. So
yeah, I mean, I think it's really easy for us to get in our heads too about, oh, I can't say that on camera. And maybe there are a few things that we want to keep secret, but I also feel like there's real power in sharing personal stories and personal challenges, right? Do you feel like people really empathize with that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that was like the foundation of season 1 of our podcast, which we started 5 years ago or something now. The first 12 episodes were highly produced. Like, I learned how to do everything, audio engineer, sound design, all of it to make our show. And it's way different. It was way different then than it is now. But I was like, we need to use our story to show people how to learn and all of these things. And I forgot what your question was, but I was really excited to talk about how season 1 was. I totally don't even know what you asked me anymore.
Well, just sharing the power of narrative, right? Storytelling.
Oh, people connecting to the story.
People connecting. And when we hear stories, whether it's a great movie or a great book or a poem or whatever, or just a story, oral story, if we can see ourselves in that story, we're like, oh, okay, what I'm thinking, feeling, going through, I'm not crazy, right? So it creates an instant connection of like, oh, they went through that too, or this happens to them as a parent or a podcaster or an entrepreneur or a business owner. Okay, so there's some relation there.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is that people would email us or whatever and be like, they could see themselves in our story, and we shared all of it, like the ugly parts that most marriage people don't share. And so it was really cool to see people being like, oh, I can see myself in that, in your story, and your growth I can see in my growth, and blah, blah, blah. So that was a really cool connection about using our story as the foundation of our show.
And so I'm curious, did you ever feel like you went too deep? Was there ever a point where someone reached out and like, you crossed the line with that episode?
No,
I'm tuning out.
We've never had anybody do that. The only thing we get comments on is that people don't like that I'm mean and that sometimes we swear. But we have literally yet to someone say to us, like, you really shouldn't be talking about that.
Interesting. So, I mean, I feel like that's often the fear that we run into with putting ourselves out there. I mean, I run a podcast agency, and that's a pretty common problem. So there's two main problems. So I want to talk about both of them, and I want to get your feedback because your show is wildly successful, over 1,000 iTunes 5-star reviews, which I also want to talk about. So I'm just kind of laying out all the different things I want to talk about. But When I talk to clients, they're like, oh, I can't talk about that. I need to show my authority in a particular topic, right? But it feels like there's a balance between the empathy portion and being real and open, but also showing that you've been through it and you have the authority to actually talk about that topic, you know?
Yeah. So I've had to navigate that because in my professional life, I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I've done agency work and private practice and all this stuff. And people come to me, clients, right, who haven't heard the show. This is before we had the show, actually. And they're like, I need help. You're the professional. You're trained. You're, all this stuff. I need help. And so there's a level of, okay, I still have to be a professional, but in real life, and I'm talking like real nitty-gritty stuff with the tens of thousands of hours of client work that I've done, when people can relate on a real level, that sometimes can be more powerful than, okay, you're the professional, just tell me what to do, right? Kind of thing. And that has been definitely apparent within private practice. And on the show, we're still, I would call ourselves an authority because we've been married 17 years. We've gone through some hard stuff. We have 3 kids. We're business owners, all this thing. So we've got a little bit of experience, right? So I can confidently, without an ego, say, okay, my story sounds very much the same. Let me tell you, let me walk through you, let me coach you through how I made it work, how we got on the other side of this, S storm or whatever, and then if people can relate, go, okay, so these folks kind of know what they're talking about.
Right.
So we kind of blend, hey, we've been there, done that kind of thing, but then also our super real life. And like, yeah, no one has all the answers.
Right.
And in fact, if somebody says they have all the answers, you should definitely run.
Well, and I think that there's something to be said for I have all the answers. I'm the expert. Here's my expert advice. I think that's a really old model now. Like, I think it's getting tired. It's dusty. We need to kind of push it off the shelf. And so while we do know things and have expert advice to share, it is far more impactful to be like, man, when I was going through this is what it felt like. And this is how I navigated it. And this is whatever. So it's that deep vulnerability that really connects with our audience and our clients and everything. And again, like there are books and books and books, and Barnes & Noble is full of what the expert has to say. But obviously that's still not quite enough. And so I think taking it to the next level is vital for people to learn and to grow.
Yeah, 100%. And this is something that is again, really tough to do, I think, to put yourself out there. I'm working with another client and she's just so afraid to post pictures on Instagram. I said, listen, you got to put yourself out there. So I don't like the way I look in this picture. And it's a tough kind of pill to swallow, but I find it also gets easier as you do it, as you put yourself out there more and more. I want to shift topics a little bit to just kind of getting started, because I recently launched a podcast with a co-host, and I want you to save me from mistakes that I'm probably going to make. So was there ever a time where you had like an argument or disagreement with the way the show was headed, or has it all been smooth sailing?
Oh boy, no.
Oh, it's been so bad. We've recorded our arguments and used them as content on our podcast. I'm not even kidding. But no, it's always been kind of a weird dynamic, and there's a bunch of different reasons why. One, it started because I was like, there are no resources that are real and authentic and raw for marriages. Like, I don't know if you know our story, but in the beginning, years ago, I gave him a black eye. Our marriage was really, really bad. And it was like, where's the book? Where's the podcast for that kind of marriage? And I want to figure out how to like really heal something that's been broken. And so that was sort of the genesis of it. Was it's coming from this place of actual brokenness. And we're walking through how we're growing in real time in our show in season 1. So then it was me starting all of it. So I was the one who went out and said, I'm going to write it. Here's the format. Here's what I'm recording. Here's what I'm editing. Here's whatever. And then over time, it slowly morphed where I was inviting Seth into the studio, in essence. So it started out me bringing Seth in. And then over time, it became people would write us questions. So we're like, okay, well, we have to answer them together. So the format changed. And then all of a sudden he's trying to tell me what we should do and what he doesn't like. And I'm like, listen, sir, until you know how to run the sound equipment, you don't have a say. And I'm being as honest as possible here. And so there has been this, like, once it started transitioning into a business though, and we actually got clients, like, I think that's when I started to value how he shows up more and be more like, collaborative, I would say. But it has been a huge struggle and journey to know how to navigate anything from like, what's the intro music? When does it start? When does it stop? How do we crossfade? Do we crossfade? How do we do ads? Like, it's a lot. But what are your problems? Let's talk about them.
well, even on the topics list. So like I have the professional background, and a lot of people like that, right? So I'm like, okay, let's bring the textbook, like literal textbook advice, or the research says this, the data says this, and then bring that into how it interfaces with our marriage, and then also how it interfaces with listener questions. So I mean, I think we've been doing it for 5 years.
Yeah.
And a couple of million downloads later, it's like, okay, we have a pretty smooth train going, I guess. But yeah, there's still like,
and we have something like 500 episodes. I mean, we've done a lot of them where they're just not great. And like, we've kind of clunked our way through it. So
yeah,
that's part of it too.
Are they all your episodes? Are they the same like length and format, or do you kind of like throw different lengths, different topics, different formats? Do you switch it up?
We switch it up, yeah, for a bunch of different reasons. We do it one for our sanity. Like they used to be the highly produced podcasts, and that was just a ton of work. So we switched from that to answering listener questions. And then at one point we were doing like daily episodes that were like 10 minutes long so that they could go on Instagram live at the time or something. Like we were modifying it for like what social media could use at the time.
And plus it was really fun. Like I know you had John Lee Dumas on, and we're fans of, Entrepreneurs on Fire, and he's done like a podcast every day for like 8,000 years. I'm like, man, he's a machine kind of thing. So yeah, we did do a stint of 100 episodes in 100 days. That was a lot of fun.
We did 2 of those in a row.
Two little stints of that. And it's just like putting in the hours,
Yeah.
And it wasn't like, oh, we have to have everything scripted and really formatted and nailed down. It was real life. Let's go.
Yeah.
What are we talking about?
What's funny is that the more we try to script things, the worse it gets. Our production, we just can't do it. We can't read off of prompters. We just can't do it. So,
well, so I'm also curious. I love this idea of 100 days straight. Did you find that you were like gaining listeners, or was the listenership dropping off, but you were just like, how did that impact the listenership? Were people just like, they're putting out too much, I can't handle it? Or were they just like, okay, this is my daily dose of Seth and Melanie? How did it kind of translate into listenership on a daily basis?
When we did 100 days of Q's and A's is what we called that one. We did 2 different stints, and the other one was like 100 days of something. But they were so short that we found that if a new listener joined, they could listen to like 10 in a row. And so it did make our numbers go up. I don't know if it was like we don't ever look at the data really anymore, but
most of the vast majority of listeners liked it, and we gained a bunch of new listeners. But I remember we had one review, which was really hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
The guy was like, they quit producing so much content. It's clogging up my feed. So he was mad that we were doing content, of course. Like,
which just made us laugh. Like, all that free marriage advice, knock it off, would you?
I was like, come on, dude.
Well, I'll tell you what, I definitely appreciate the realism and the open door when it comes to marriage advice, right? Like, I've been married almost 10 years. I've been with my wife for 15, and we hired a marriage counselor because guess what? Marriages have ups and downs, spoiler alert. And we were getting advice from a woman who had never actually been married and was single. And it would always felt kind of like, why are we getting advice with someone who's not actually in the weeds and living it,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, that's like the premise of our entire show.
That's like having a coach at the gym or something who may be overweight and this is their first week and they never played high school sports or anything. You're like, what, wait a minute. What is this?
Why are you telling me what to do?
Right.
Right. Let's flip it around. That was also right when COVID had started. So everything was Zoom. And so it was kind of a mess. It was all a mess.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, we're good now. So.
I do want to comment on that. Like having a therapist that's like a single woman and not been married. And she's trying to tell you how to be married. Right. So this is going to speak to your podcast creator audience. Like, think about how much more you would have appreciated having a counselor that was like, had been married 10 more years than you talking to you about it. Like that sort of, it's like social proof. It's like, oh, wait, you have been married. You do get this. You know how much that hurts or how bad that feels or how much you want this or that. And like, it's a little tiny element that really, really matters. So if you're a podcast producer or creator, whatever, and you think, oh, well, it doesn't matter. No one cares. No one is listening, but you have a year more of experience in something. I will listen. I will listen if I'm interested in that thing. Right. So I don't know. There's a lot to be said. There's a lot of weight to the experience that people have had and showing up that way. I don't know. Side note.
Well, I agree. It's very easy to get caught up in, I'm not as far along as that person who's, Dr. Drew or whatever, or Gary Vaynerchuk, but you're a lot farther along than someone else. So if your personality can hold it, I think there's a lot of truth there. You had mentioned earlier that you've had a program where people can actually call in or text in a question. So this is another, I think, issue that podcasters often run into. It feels like a one-way road, right? It feels like I'm speaking to my audience, but I'm not getting much engagement back from my audience. How are you getting engagement back from people? What are you doing that's actually getting people to text in or to call in or get involved?
The most thing that we have is DMs on like Instagram stuff. Like people send us stuff, they reply to our posts and they'll send us questions. We also have a website.
Well, yeah, I mean, just website, social media stuff, of course, those are avenues. But if podcasters are wanting more engagement, you have to remind people of that. You know, hey, what's up, guys? Email your questions to whatever. Hit me up on Instagram. It's almost like a native ad. You know, like open the show, do a quick pre-roll with, and we're answering live questions. You know, on each week on the show, or always get back to folks. I think Gary Vaynerchuk says this. You mentioned him earlier. Is like the people who are interacting with you on your social media. If you're like, oh, well, that's just a dumb question, go away. That is like shooting yourself in the foot. Like if you have people engaging with you, you better make dang sure that you are hitting them back up and like interacting with them, because that is your audience. And if you're wanting to add value, here's your opportunity to add value right here on through emails. If someone is taking the time to reach out through emails, DMs, phone messages, whatever, texts, then if you want to build your audience, add value to them.
One of the things that I've done, and you may have done this too, is give people shout outs on your show. It makes them feel special. You do that, or people like, I'm going to ask you a question. Just don't put me out there, bro.
Right.
Like,
we have a couple people. What's cool is that we have like because we do masterminds and I do women's group coaching. So we have this like foundational community that is really strong, and we're in Facebook groups and all that stuff. And so once we have like those handful of people that we know we can say their name, like I'm going to say Paul and Robin. So we have Paul and Robin were clients of ours. They're friends of ours. We talk about them on the show all the time, and our audience actually knows who they are now, because like we've had them on our show. And so showing our audience and our listeners that we are real humans who make real friends from our show is a huge part of them feeling like they can even reach out to us. And sometimes I've also noticed that like I might follow like a marriage podcast, but I might not have a marriage question. But if that podcaster posts a picture of their kitchen renovation, I would feel inclined to be like, oh my gosh, I love the color of the backsplash you created, blah, blah, blah. Like I would talk to them about something completely not related to what their podcast is about, which sounds weird, but it's like a real life element of like, I don't have a marriage question that I'm going to write in about, but I love your outfit. You know, like it's a way to connect.
Yeah. But the majority of questions and comments and stuff like that we do keep it anonymous. You know, like,
most
hey,
people ask
Joe
us
said this, that, you know, he hates his wife. We're like, no, we're not going to air dirty laundry out there. If it's not ours, if it's ours, we don't mind. But of course we have permission and control to do so. But yeah, we keep it.
I think it's more challenging in our arena. People like marriage stuff is stigmatized for sure. So it's a little harder.
No, I agree with that. I think it's really smart, Melanie, where you talk about just kind of like showing your daily life and stuff. I feel like, I made this mistake for a long time. I tried to make my social media like so specifically catered to only what I do. But it wasn't until I kind of like opened up the back door to all the other things that I do that people started being more interested in my story, And so I actually think that that's really smart. That's a really smart thing that, I've just seen a ton more engagement when I start opening up the back door and letting people.
Yeah. And people want to know who you are as a person. Like, I mean, that's part of who we are as social creatures. Like we want, I don't care. Like, you might have the best information on woodworking or whatever, but I could Google that. I could read that. But what if I knew you and I knew where you bought the wood from and the kind of tools you had and your favorite tool brands? Like that's a big part of connecting with social creatures, right? Is showing them that element, the reality, the real side of it.
For some reason, I thought of that old show MTV Cribs, Oh, there you go.
Hey.
Speaking of the realness, guys, my wife is at Orange Theory working out and I'm being bombarded with a 5-year-old and 2-year-old. Guys, get out of here. Okay, take Ollie with you.
Those are challenging ages to be bombarded by. Oh,
hey, bud.
So I feel
isn't that really serendipitous?
I know, good timing.
You should totally leave that in.
Don't cut that out.
Like we have a studio and our kids are so used to us being on calls or like, oh, mom and dad are recording kind of thing. They just kind of do their own thing. But sometimes, fairly often, I guess, because they're kids, they come in, open the door. Hey, dad. Hey, we're recording, bud. Scram. And we just leave it in, because People have kids. This is a normal part of life. And what I was going to say is like, why do you think that show MTV Cribs was popular? It's I want to see Lil Wayne's house. Okay, that's cool. You know, I mean, it's not. Is it a show still?
No, I don't know.
No, I don't think so. But it's the normal.
I think they did one with Martha Stewart's home is crazy. Is really.
Oh yeah.
It's just that idea. It's like, hey, what does Joe Rogan do on the weekend? I don't know. Give me a snapshot of like some hunting trip or some crazy MMA or his workout or him hanging out with his. I know he doesn't show with his kids. I mean, like super famous people. Yeah, don't do that. But still, giving an insight into that, it's like that can help me out. Oh, Joe Rogan drinks this shake and does this. Okay, I'm gonna try that. And it's not just like a affiliate ad deal or anything like that. It's like, oh, that worked for him. Let me try it out. Geez, like part of my whole like all the stuff that I do, like self-help and health things, I've gotten from other people because I saw them doing it. I'm like, man, that works great, kind of thing.
Well, yeah, and it creates that empathy with your viewer, your listener. Gary V again, he mentioned this the other day, and he was like, someone says, oh, Gary V likes sports cards. I like sports cards. I go to your bio, and then all of a sudden you can get more interested. It's not like, I feel like a lot of times podcasters just think of their feed on social media as a place to put postcards and advertisements for their show. But it's just boring.
And that doesn't last long, because then what are you doing? You're using your audience.
Right.
You're not giving value. And it's like, okay, what's that thing? You begin to know, like, and trust someone. And then it's like, well, again, Gary V, what is his, jab, 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 right hook or something like that? Like add value, then make an ask or something. So if we've had listeners and have been interacting with listeners for, 6 months, a year, like this and this and this, we're like, hey man, I feel like I know you a little bit, check out this mastermind that I have. I think it'd be a good fit for you based on our conversations. They're like, oh, okay, maybe check it out. If they don't, that's fine.
Yeah, I do want to comment on that. It's a really challenging jump to make if you're in your mind, you're like, oh yeah, I use my social media to post my new episode, where you can go to my website, where you can buy my thing. It's a really big leap to go from I'm showing my audience things to I'm showing my audience me. It's very hard to even know what kind of content to make. And then on top of that, it's much easier to sit behind a screen and make a thing in Canva that says new episode out now about blah, 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 than it is to like film yourself making brownies with your kid or trying to go skateboarding or whatever the thing is that you're doing, or even recording your own podcast. Like that's just a lot harder to do, but it is more desirable. I think on the consumption side, people want that stuff more than they want. Like, I mean, we're fed so many ads per day. Like it's like thousands of ads a day. We just see them on everything that we're blind to them. So something different is definitely worth figuring out, but it is challenging to start.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, before you transition, I'm assuming you transition, but I wanted to say something you said before, that a lot of the clients that you have that you're working with podcasts, they don't want to put stuff on Instagram, or I don't like how I look, or I don't like how I sound. So I want those guys to think about, who do you listen to? Who do you follow on social media? Who do you engage with? They're doing it and have been doing it. So give me a good reason why you can't do it too, right? Because if we don't do something, if we have an idea like, oh, this would be so cool to do, but I'm scared, I don't know how to do it. If we have an idea like that and don't act on it, somebody else will do it, right? If you don't do it, somebody else will. And I want your listeners to think about how much they appreciate the people that they see and follow and stuff, like put out a piece of vulnerable content. Usually you go, oh man, that was good. That really impacted me. I took a screenshot of that so I can put it on my vision board or put it on my mirror or something, like look at it daily because it helped me so much. We all have that position to be that same thing. Like who knows how many people have screenshots something that we've put out or something that you've put out that we don't even know about.
Right.
But they are glad that we did that.
And you are not your ideal client avatar. Like I don't need to like my content. That sounds like a silly thing to say. It's not for me. My content is not to help me. My content is to help someone listening or watching to learn something new, right? And so I would challenge you, if you're feeling like, well, I don't like how I look in this outfit. Tough. It's not for you.
Well, it's less about the outfit, I think. It's more about the content, I would say.
You
like
don't
putting
know.
it out there.
It might be that they feel weird in their outfit.
Okay, maybe.
That reminds me of someone, Rachel Peterson, who, she's got kind of a mom bod, and she puts it out there. She's not like unhealthy, but she's not living up to that, Instagram filtered model type of look.
Yeah. I was actually thinking of her when I was saying that and I couldn't think of her name. So I'm glad that you brought her up. Yeah. She totally she even talks about it. Like she jokes about it and I love her. I save her stuff all the time.
Yeah. She highlights it. And I think that type of realness and openness is so attractive to your audience. The key is trying to figure out where your audience is, right? But yeah, certainly putting yourself out there is very uncomfortable at first. Yeah, but what I've learned over the past 5 years is those failures, that uncomfortableness, you start to I actually started to enjoy it. And I'm not a sadist or anything, but I launched a local Bitcoin group where we meet up, we talk about Bitcoin and stuff. And I knew everything was going to go wrong. I knew it. I knew going into it, everything would go wrong. And, I forgot some equipment and then I put the wrong address down in the invite and it was a mess, but we still had 20 people show up and it was great. And, sometimes we get caught up in our own head waiting for perfection, and it just never comes.
Right. What's that saying? Perfect is the enemy of progress or something like that.
I don't know.
It's like if we're waiting, man, so many people do this about podcasting. I don't know, Mark, if you've experienced this, probably. But someone, who wants to start a podcast, they go out and they buy like $2,000 or $3,000 worth of like super expensive gear. And do you want to know where our podcast started? And on an iPhone in a car on I-5 in downtown Seattle. Yeah. We were stuck in traffic for like 2 hours. And we said, hey, we got through all that stuff. Let's record it. And like season 1 has like excerpts
the
of
foundational audio is a phone.
It's
held like this.
It's a phone, right? Obviously, that wasn't perfect. There's traffic, there's sirens and stuff like that. But it was real, right? We were getting our story out there. Just start, you know, and don't expect like, well, I didn't get 1,000 downloads a second, on my first episode. It's like, well, no, of course you didn't. You're just starting out.
Well, let me tell you one of my favorite terms or quotes or whatever that when I did season 1, I interviewed Dr. Dan Siegel, who's an interpersonal neurobiologist in Santa Monica, California. I have a total nerd crush on him. And I interviewed him and I had came up with a question. And this is when I was totally new to everything. He was like the second person I had interviewed. And I was like, oh, sorry, I want to ask another question. And I sort of stumbled over my words and I was like, I didn't send this to you ahead of time. I'm really sorry. And he's like, no, the process is the content. And I about fell out of my chair. I was like, what? Like the process of making this podcast, thinking things through, whatever, that's the content that you're after. The process is the content. And that was mind-blowing. And that's all the evidence you need to know that you don't have to have it perfected before you start. Just start. The process is sometimes what people are only after. We can Google all the answers.
How do I do it?
So good. So good. A lot of gurus actually get angry at me when I say stuff like, just start with your iPhone on Anchor. It's free. Just get started. And some of my podcast guru friends are like, that's bad advice. You shouldn't say that. They should be getting all the equipment. I was like, you get paralysis by analysis. You just gotta you guys gotta go sometime.
Well, and it makes me think of it would be like telling someone if they said, I really want to get good at driving a car. I'd be like, okay, well, go out and get a Ferrari. Like, no, don't do that. Actually. Do a bunch of other stuff first.
Well, yeah. So I used to play drums, right? In a rock band. We got record deals and all this stuff, and we would tour. And do you know, like the first couple of shows for like 2 years, I played on like a garage sale kit that was $75. And one time we were on tour in Florida and we got paid. I think I've told you this. Well, one time we got paid a shepherd's pie. That was our payment for playing a show at a club out in Miami. And then another time we got paid like 2 cans of Coca-Cola, right? But we went and grinded and built and built and built. And then, eventually got a record deal and toured and all this stuff, right? So it's like you have to start small. Yeah. And no means was it perfect or anything, but we kept on going. And that is where, I don't know, that's what is it? The wheat from the chaff, right?
I don't know. Something like that.
Keep on going, keep on going.
Can we talk before we're getting, actually we're having a lot of fun, but I want to talk a little bit about the monetization aspect, right? Because I think that a lot of podcasters get into podcasting and they don't exactly know why they're doing it, or we're afraid to say that we're doing it for selfish reasons. Like, I want to generate income, but I want to know a little bit more about how your show is actually generating income. You mentioned you have a mastermind, you've got this coaching program. How does the podcast kind of fit in to your business structure? I know that's a broad question.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's tons, people can do ads or, all kinds of stuff or affiliate deals. So we've had pretty good success because I'm a therapist. So we've hooked up with betterhelp.com, right? Online therapy. So that's an affiliate that's monetized that pretty good. It's not like, tens or $20,000s of dollars or anything like that, but it is something, right? And then a couple other ad spots. But the podcast for us, other than it's like some of the greatest conversations we've ever had, just personally, it's like, oh, it's podcast time. Let's go. It's fun. It's connecting with one another. So first of all, we love to do it. Second of all, the podcast is like a top of the funnel kind of thing. Broad
it's our free
reach.
Content.
Yeah,
right?
it's our free content. And then of course we direct potential clients to the mastermind, which I have a husband's mastermind. Melanie has a women's mastermind. And then also we do high performance marriage coaching, individual coaching also for high net worth entrepreneurs. So top of the funnel down kind of thing. So we make most of our money from driving traffic to coaching and also mastermind stuff. But then, I don't know, additional income, side income. I mean, it all goes in the same business kind of thing through affiliate deals, affiliate marketing. We did some stuff with Audible, for a while, recommending books and stuff like that. But
it got to but there is a balance. Like we've had several different affiliate things at the same time, and we found that it was almost like too much to juggle because we wanted to focus on our coaching. So we're like, let's just choose BetterHelp is obviously a really good one because if they can't work with us because they can't afford it, then they can at least go to BetterHelp, right? So it like falls in line with what we do anyway of helping people. But then additionally, we'll have products that we sell there's just like tons of little income streams. And then the biggest primary one is coaching.
Yeah.
So,
well, we've also turned down ad spot offers just because it was like, what is this? I wouldn't use this.
Right.
Whatever it was. I don't even remember, but it's
we've
been
had
a handful.
Several weird affiliate links where we're like, that just doesn't.
It's like, oh, that's good money, but do we want to, because we value who our listeners are and we want to help them, and do we really think that they need another, razor or I don't know, whatever the heck. One time something was really weird. I was like, no, thank you. So, and that's not saying like, oh, we're just, weird and snooty about it, but we respect our listeners. And I know, so there's one podcast, I'm not going to say the name, but the content is amazing. It's unbelievable. But I swear the amount of commercials on this particular podcast is just like,
like 15 minutes in the beginning.
Yeah. And I'm not talking about like how Joe Rogan had like, the first opening 9 minutes was just, ads or anything like that. It's a different format, but it's like, oh my gosh, nope, I don't need any of that stuff.
Right.
And just get to the content. So you have to respect your listeners because if they're taking the time, on their commute or jog or cutting the grass or washing dishes or whatever, it's like you don't want to hear ads all the time. But,
and you have to care enough about it to know that you're going to have to make content about that thing. Like you're going to have to sit down and write a script or record it or edit it. And if you hate that thing, you probably shouldn't do that,
Right.
Yeah, definitely be true to yourself and your audience. Can we talk a little bit more about the mastermind? Because I love the idea of using a podcast to support a mastermind community. How do you merge those together? How do you leverage the podcast as a great tool to provide value to your mastermind community? How are you coordinating that? Yeah,
well, because I guess we're under the self-help category. I don't even know what it is in podcasts. But our goal is to create resources, to create content that actually help people because we didn't have that help when we were going through a really hard time. So our heart is like, okay, let's put out real stuff that adds real value to folks. So I'm a part of another mastermind and kind of learned the ropes there of what actually a mastermind does, from like Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. And I'm like, oh my gosh. A mastermind and the power of a mastermind is so much encouragement, accountability, and community. And oftentimes when people get in trouble in marriage and relationships is when they don't have accountability, encouragement, or community. I'm like, dumping all my problems on Melanie. She's like, okay, go talk to your dudes about that. I don't even know kind of thing. And vice versa. It's like, or vice versa. Then that can cause arguments too. So the power of a mastermind is just another added thing that I'm like, man, I've seen the power of how a mastermind works in my own life, just based on the one that I participate in, apart from what we do. I want to create this platform for the dudes who write into our show all the time. Like, man, I want to connect with my wife, but being emotional and vulnerable is super hard. How do I do this? I don't have accountability with this. I don't like where I am. I'm 40. What am I doing? Kind of thing. It's like, okay, get in a group with other like-minded people. It's, I think, a Jim Rohn quote, you are the sum of the 5 people you hang out with the most. So for me personally, I want to hang out with guys like you who are doing entrepreneurial things, who are good dads, who are good husbands, who are like growth mindset. I want to do that, right, personally. And I want to be with other dudes and give them that opportunity to level up their life in all areas. And the same thing with the women's group coaching, which I'll let you talk about, obviously.
One of the ways that it interfaces with the podcast specifically is that, I mean, think of this, like, think of hearing your favorite podcaster talk about something, and then they're like, yeah, we can be on a call together in a group. Want to do that? Like, yes, I do want to do that. And so we'll often talk, you know, like we'll be talking about a topic, and then I will say, and then we're talking about this thing in the women's group on Tuesdays on our call. So, you know, like head over there and sign up. So it's just great in a lot of ways. And the podcast, because we're so vulnerable and we talk about anything, they know what to expect if we're on a call when we coach together. That's kind of if I could say the biggest takeaway is that we're so us when we're on our podcast, that's what they want when they join our groups, and that's what they get. And that is it's a really positive sort of, what is the word you always say?
It's a positive feedback loop.
Yeah, like a positive feedback loop, like a reciprocal whatever. But it's really cool. And the way it interfaces, that we could talk about the things that we talk about in our group. We can share prompts that we do in our group, in our social media. So there's a big sort of like loop of helpful content that can be created from that.
Yeah. Yeah. It's similar to what you do. I know you have a mastermind too. And it's like, okay, I go to a podcast for this content, whether it's how to start a podcast or the entrepreneurial side of a podcast or a marriage or stuff like that. It's like, oh, I really love this content. What if I intentionally inserted myself into a group of other like-minded people? Do you think I'm going to grow? Do you think I'm going to get value and be able to give value to? And of course, the answer is yes. And then when we put ourselves in those positions, you know, sometimes it's about being in the right room, you know, and different connections you can make, and like what I can learn from this husband or this lady or you know, this podcaster kind of thing. And putting yourself in the right position is a lot about timing. And man, it makes such a difference in your podcast, in your marriage, in your life, in everything. So I would encourage people to put themselves in the right room. If you want to do more podcasting, go to Mark's Mastermind instantly right now, if you're on the fence.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. It's been a really, I think, revolutionary way of thinking about the podcast, this loop idea, because, you know, to your point, the issues, the questions, the topics that come up in the mastermind group can find their way into the podcast itself, right? Obviously in a respectful way, because you don't want to be airing out, you know, John was cheating on his wife. Let's talk about it. Right?
Yeah. And then John's wife listens. What?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I can see that getting a little awkward. Is there any type? So, you know, hundreds of episodes, millions of downloads. Is there any particular type of episode that just explodes on you? Have you found any sort of common denominator there? I'm just kind of curious in closing.
We always have a lot of downloads on anything about adultery, which is unfortunate. So it's what do I do? My husband cheated on me, or my wife is cheating on me. Like, we have lots of downloads on those ones. Actually, we had a really we did a thing in November called Foovember. So Foo is family of origin, Foo. And it's a therapeutic concept. And we did a whole month of just Foovember, which was and it's really, really cool. And we got tons of interaction and downloads in that month. And that's actually a new thing that we're sort of playing with, is making themed months. So we still talk about marriage every single month, but we're breaking it up into themes and sort of seeing what that does. So we did all of April. April is for fools. It's for people who cheat on their spouses, and like questions that we get written in and how to handle with that. So that's April is for fools. We had Foovember, and then May is for men, where all of our episodes are male centric. They're men writing in with questions. So yeah, that's another way we're kind of working stuff out. It's pretty fun.
Super interesting. I noticed that I was looking at your Instagram. I'm like, they just talk about people cheating on their spouses, but it's the month. It's the month. That makes a lot of sense.
Month,
yeah.
And of
which
course,
is
that's
a challenge.
what I've been doing.
Go ahead.
Well, just the entire month of April for me has been storytelling. I'm just bringing on storytellers, talking about stories, you know, and I don't know. I think it's an interesting way to go, especially when you're supporting a mastermind. So you can kind of focus on a topic, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's really cool when like topics are brought up in the mastermind and then we do a show about it, which opens up more listener questions to it. And then it kind of goes back into the mastermind. Like, hey, did you catch that episode or something that your guest said or whatnot? So it's always
really
just
helpful too.
it's just like keeping really important, relevant topics top of mind.
Our clients will refer to episodes of ours all the time. Happens all the time. They'll be like, oh yeah, that episode where you talked about this thing, I listened to that this weekend. And so then we'll end up talking to our clients about an episode we produced, you know, and it helps them. It's a really positive thing. Can I speak for 1 second on the story element for us? I think in a really helpful way. One of the things that we've discovered is that people will often learn if they're a passive sort of like listener of a story, they'll learn about something that maybe their spouse has been telling them directly for 5 years, but they've been it's like shameful to hear that you're doing something bad or wrong. So we shut down, like our bodies are like wired to like fight, flight, freeze or whatever. And so what we've discovered is that when we share our story, and I might we talk about this on our podcast all the time, that like there was a season where I was super mean to Seth, like very, very mean. And listeners, like females, will hear me say that and be like, oh, I might be mean to my husband too. And their husband's like, oh my gosh, all I say is that you're mean to me all the time. So there's this really strong, amazing thing where because they're not a part of the story, they're just an observer, they're taking things away in a different way than if I were to just point it straight out. Like so it's a beautiful, like they'll see themselves in the story. And especially if you're talking about something as complicated as marriage advice or marriage conflict or whatever, using someone else's story is a great way to get your audience to learn new things because they don't feel attacked. So I just want to say that.
Super, super good. It's a great conversation. I'm really happy that y'all could join me. We got Seth and Melanie here from Anatomy of Us. A couple more quick questions, rapid fire questions. Overrated, underrated pizza.
Underrated.
Pizza. Oh, if you've had super good pizza
Costco
and then go,
pizza.
No, Lord, no, not
so good.
Underrated.
Overrated, underrated Batman.
Oh, underrated. I love Batman.
Overrated.
Oh, are you kidding?
Unless it's 90s Batman.
I say it's underrated. So is it underrated? Like it should be. So I'm saying underrated. Like, yeah, people don't appreciate it. Am I answering it correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Overrated, underrated alligators.
Ooh, underrated. Eesh.
Why are they underrated?
They're alligators.
They're dinosaurs, basically.
They will kill you.
I love me some alligators. So yeah. Okay. Overrated, underrated Starbucks.
Ooh. Oh, overrated.
Now overrated.
So we met at Starbucks. We both used to work
like
there
20 years ago when it was real, when you had to like know things and not just push buttons.
Yeah.
And so, yes, it is.
I hate Starbucks now.
No, you don't.
I do.
Well, he does.
But we're
like
in Seattle, so there's obviously no shortage of really good coffee.
Yeah.
So.
I'll give you one more here. Overrated, underrated Tinder.
Oh, I don't know nothing
Tinder.
about
Oh
Tinder.
Boy.
I'll say this. Can I add in a third one? Unhealthy.
Maybe.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
Unhealthy.
I'll take that. Well, Seth, Melanie Studley, thanks for joining the show here today. Have an awesome week. Links below, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much
man.
for having us.
Enjoyed
It's
it.
been great.
And boom, thanks for listening to the episode today. I love these two. They are a lot of fun. I hope you learned a few little tips and tricks along the way. If you walk away with one thing, I think that's to be authentically you, to put your authentic self out there. And if you take away two things, it would be, if you really want to grow your podcast, you need to join the Podcast Savant Mastermind. I'll put a link below. It's only $25 a month to start. You're going to get a link to and access to a lot of exercises from previous months. You're going to be really happy you joined. I promise you. If you're not happy, let me know. I'll refund you. $25 a month. Click the link below and join us. All right. I'll check you out in the next episode. In the meantime, go take action. See ya.